Yeah, it got a little feisty, but that's camp. We just got to learn that really we want to be aggressive, we want to be physical, but you have to keep your cool. You can't do that stuff. You do that stuff in the game, you're out of the game, and it hurts our team. So it's a good teaching moment for us.
You are looking live at St. Vincent College in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, and Steelers Training Camp 2024. It is Thursday, August the 1st, day 9 on campus and day 7 on the field, but not day 3 in pads. No pads today. They broke those out on Tuesday, used them again yesterday, but back to helmets today. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Training Camp Live, presented by FedEx. I'm Mike Prisuta, joined as always by Max Starks. And Max, we heard in the open from defensive coordinator Terrell Austin yesterday, a little dust up at the end of practice. And when I say a little dust up, it kind of resembled an old bench clearing brawl in hockey.
Yes.
But while the coaches had to say what they had to say, which is, you really shouldn't do that, players on both sides all for it.
No, I mean, every once in a while there's those tense moments in camp where the pressure has built up so much, right? You've had wins, you've had losses, victories in 7 shots, losses in 7 shots, one-on-one pass rush drills, one-on-one run blocking drills, backs on backers, wide receiver stalk drills with DBs. And, every once in a while you just have to set the momentum, and usually it's defense that starts this, right? I mean, let's just be honest. Defense usually the one that gets
That's your unbiased opinion?
Unbiased opinion, completely just from a bird's eye view in my press box experience. But no, Landon Roberts kind of gave Justin Fields a little extra sugar at the end of a play.
When you say kind of gave, he threw a shoulder into him and knocked him down in a non-tackling drill.
Correct. There we go. I was trying to be really soft about it, but yeah, no, he knocked him down. Justin Fields tucked it and ran off to the right, and Landon Roberts gave the right shoulder shiver to him, and Justin Fields went out, and Mason McCormick was not having it. I mean, he beelined. He put 50 square in the crosshairs, and then Fautanu came behind him, and then let's just say everybody else cleared out because Broderick Jones even ran in there, and he wasn't even in the drill for that play.
Yeah.
And, it was a funny thing.
Najee Harris, too.
Najee Harris. Well, I think everybody was.
The bench is empty.
It was
old-time hockey.
Yeah, I would say there was probably about 89 guys. T.J. Watt didn't have a helmet on, so he kind of took a couple steps towards it. It was like, and then backed off. But
he faked me out with that because I saw him starting, and I thought, well, that's not real. Maybe intelligent to get in there without a helmet, but then there was so much going on, I looked the other way. And then he said afterward, no, he just took a couple steps to show everybody that he was going to do it.
Yeah, he was going to lead, but
then he stopped.
Remember your helmet anytime you're going to get into a bench-clearing brawl on a football field. But, yeah, and it's funny. I went and afterwards we had lunch, and I was sitting in there with Craig Wolfley, and I went up to E-Rob. We said, E-Rob, man, what happened? What came over you? Because you always want to know, the reason why.
Can I guess before you tell us?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because this was starting to percolate, I thought. There was a play with Fields on the defensive sideline, and the whistle blew, and the defense kept jagging at the ball and they eventually got it out. And then the defense on the sideline went crazy. You messed up. We got your ball. Ha, ha, ha. That kind of stuff. And then there was a Najee Harris run at Patrick Queen, and Queen was trying to tear the ball away, which they're coached to do, and you're not tackling it. Punch at it, rip it, whatever. And Najee had it secured.
Yeah.
And he basically carried Queen for about 10 yards, and then there was a little bit of a shove on the exchange, and Herbert came over there. So I thought we were almost at the boiling point there. And then maybe the straw that broke Roberts' back, could it be, are these guys just getting tired of Fields running past them?
No, that wasn't it.
That wasn't it.
I mean, good. I mean, you sold it. It was. I mean, I was almost about to say, yeah, that sounds like good, sound, rational judgment. But it was way simpler than that.
Okay.
It was. I wanted to see if I could do it. See what the reaction was, because he said he did it last year, and nobody responded to it when he nudged the guy off, and guys kind of just went back to the huddle. So he thought, hey, let me try and see if I could do it again.
So it was calculated.
It was calculated.
Premeditated.
Yeah, premeditated. He wanted to do it at some point, and he had the opportunity to do it. He did it. And then his response after that is, I'm not going to do that again. He was like, I learned my lesson. he's like, this group is different. and yeah, when you have two rookies leading the way, they want to protect their quarterback at all costs. They want to protect every teammate on their side of the ball. And that's a far departure. Like you said, we were talking about building this offensive line and creating an identity for them. That was an identifying moment. And a guy as strong as Landon Roberts, a guy who's played a lot of football, said, nah, I'm not doing that again. now. Because he said immediately when he did it, he felt the shadow of offensive lineman on his back, and he turned around and he had to make sure that he was braced and ready to go.
Yeah, McCormick looked like he was shot out of a cannon, and it was really interesting talking to participants on both sides afterward down there on the field. And that was it was the last drill, and it was one of the final plays. So,
yeah.
It's not as if that much time passed between when it happened and when we got to talk to the players. But everybody was analytical about it. Everybody was calm, cool, and collected. That nothing lingered. Nate Herbig talked about that's what you do as an offensive lineman. You got to respond. You got to protect the quarterback. No questions asked. And he talked about McCormick specifically. He said, "I love it. We're not going to have a celebration because he did it, but you really love that he did it." And then he went on to sing the praises, in Herbig's estimation, of McCormick as being nasty, hard-nosed, tough, physical, everything you want your offensive lineman to be.
Yeah, and I think that also sets a tone when you're trying to figure out what your young guys are made of. You try and put them in situations, not necessarily like Coach Tomlin likes to orchestrate it and put them in perfect situations, but you want to see how it responds. Is it second nature to you to go and want to pick a guy up? One of the things that we did when I was a player, we instituted a rule. You had to go pick your guy. If a guy was on the ground that had the same jersey as you go pick him up. And so as an offensive line, we took that very personally. We took it to heart that even if it was a wide receiver 15 yards down the field, if there was any type of pile.
Even a wide receiver.
Yeah, you clear the pile. You clear the pile, get him up on the ground, get him back in the huddle. And also it sets your mindset for a 2-minute drill. Because what are defenders trying to do in those moments? They're trying to lay on top of you, trying to create extra time and let the time tick off the clock. And you want to preserve every second you can. So everybody's important. All 11 are important. If my teammate's on the ground, I got to get him off the ground as fast as possible. I used to peel guys off of Jerome because Jerome loved running to the pile. And so you'd have to peel guys off and get Jerome up and get back into the huddle. And so we treated every position. If Ben got hit, you had to make sure you got guys off of him as fast as possible because you never know what's going to happen. I remember I ran into a situation in college. We had a scrum. We were playing Florida State, and we had a big pile. There was a 3rd and short. We get the first down, and I'll never forget at the bottom of the pile, a guy by the name of Darnell Dockett was under the pile, and he was twisting Ernest Graham's knee. And you could see it on film. He's over there trying to torque his knee, and he ended up dislocating his knee because of that.
Wow.
And was out for the rest of the season. So, I take that really personally when a guy is on top of my teammate. I don't want that, and I'm gonna clear you off. If I have to roll you off, I have to kick you off or throw you off, I'm going to do it because I don't want anything to happen because I had that experience where one of my teammates is down underneath the pile, and we're all down there with him. We're trying to get up, and a bad thing happened, so I don't want any bad things to happen to my teammates.
Did you ever cross paths with Darnell Dockett again?
Oh, yeah. There was this game. I believe you were there in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
February-ish.
How'd that work out?
He was crying in a bar afterwards at my after party at the Hard Rock Casino. It was a very.
You let him in?
No. They got in before we got there because we were still celebrating our victory at the hotel.
Oh,
and then I had a little after party.
They got away quicker, apparently.
Yeah, they had time to get into their clothing, shower, go cry at the bar, that was there for them at their hotel, and then they wandered over there, and they were in my party. So it was him and Anthony Smith. And Antonio Smith.
Did you tell him it's my party? You can cry if you want to.
I should have said that in the moment. I just went over there and said, "Hey guys, yeah, drinks are on me. Go ahead, drink as much as you want. Sit in the corner. Don't come over here, but stay over there. Stay over there. We don't want your cooties. Those are loser cooties."
The defensive reaction was interesting too, Max. T.J. Watt. I'm going to try to remember this word for word. Call it a paraphrase because I might not get it exactly right, but he said, to see guys run to the fight instead of away from the fight was awesome. I think that's an exact quote. And he also said, sometimes you got to stoke the fire to see what kind of team you're going to be. I think that's a paraphrase, but
yeah,
the intent's pretty clear, right? The message is pretty clear.
Yeah, the message is clear, and when a message is delivered, we respond in kind, and I think that's what this current group is trying to establish is that you're not going to push us around, you're not going to knock us around. Yeah, you're the veteran group here, and yes, you're highly touted, but I have something to say about that, and I like that intensity. And like you said, once is good to test guys and see how they responded. Twice it becomes a habit, and then it becomes counterproductive for a team, especially in this environment at training camp. It's different on the field in an actual game where you're trying to win a game. like TA said in that open, guys get kicked out for that. So we don't want that to be something that's a part of your repertoire. But
and that's
good
the
for one
emotions
moment.
boil out here. They're going to boil against Baltimore. They're going to boil against Cleveland. That's when it's really important not to.
And you got to be able to keep
it.
your head. But know you're there. Have some intent.
Yeah.
Just don't extend the elbow. That's the one thing I learned. If you extend the elbow, they call it on you. If you get a guy tight and you just grab him in there and give a couple quick jabs, little rabbit punches, that's all fair and clean. You can even hit a guy in the throat.
Yeah.
I won't really say anything.
Are you a fan of the movie The Departed?
Oh, absolutely. Love that movie.
All right. There's a scene where DiCaprio's in the bar and he gets in a fight, and then the crime boss has to come explain to him, there's guys you can hit and guys you can't hit.
Yes.
Now, that's not a guy you can't hit, but it almost is. So I got to make a ruling here.
Yeah.
And the comparison is Mason McCormick a rookie and a Landon Roberts a vet? Is a Landon Roberts a guy you can't hit?
No, you can't. You can't hit a Landon Roberts. You can nudge him, you can push him, nature of the position, but you can't full cock back and swing on.
But I mean, he hit him. He went after him. He responded.
He responded in kind. It has to be a controlled anger.
Okay,
controlled aggression.
The rookie was within his rights, and in fact did the right thing.
Yeah.
Even though Roberts has veteran status and is a prominent, and he's one of the guys on this team.
Yeah. No, he's one of the guys. As as they talk about, he's a guy that's been blessed or been tapped.
Yeah.
So you can't go treat him like another rookie in the fold. You have to exercise caution. But I do like, you could go right up to the cliff top. You can't jump off, right? And they didn't jump off.
We a little breaking news for you. Steelers have signed linebacker Marcus Golden to a one-year contract. I guess that who's going to be the fourth outside linebacker question has been answered.
Yeah, and I just saw Marcus walking out of St. Benedict's, had to go through the whole onboarding process, I guess, to whatever degree we call onboarding here. They gave him his room key, told him where to go. So not going to be out there today, but I expect his acclimation will probably be a little bit quicker than most, since Marcus Golden is a longtime vet in this league. He knows what to go through, and he knows what the expectation is of him. Marcus was a guy I covered a very long time, and Marcus is a known suspect here for the Steelers. So I think they weren't too happy with how they're going in the 4 rotation. So you add a little veteran sugar, so to speak, into the brownie batter.
Tell you what, I thought he accounted himself and acquitted himself really well last year.
Yeah,
a guy who knew his spot in the rotation and knew his role and embraced it, didn't complain about it. It was very easy to deal with the media. I assume the same with the teammates.
Yeah.
And I thought when he was out there, he held up his end.
Yeah, no, Marcus is he's a solid pros pro. And, I covered him a lot when I was in Arizona, and he's a guy that can sneak up and give you 4 or 5 sacks in a season. Even in that veteran relief role.
Or maybe have a game if he,
if a guy goes down,
line right.
he can start. He's starter capable, and he has a wealth of experience. I think he's going to also help, like he did last year with Nick Herbich's maturation and some of those other rookies down there. Windman being one of those guys. Jeremiah Mooney can kind of help with them as well. Similar body build, a little bit taller than James Harrison, but very physical at the point. Talk about setting the edge on the run game.
I thought they might sign Harrison after I saw him yesterday.
Yeah, no, I mean Debo came in looking in great, phenomenal shape. But he works out consistently, so he's always going to be there. I think he's more in a bodybuilder mode right now, so I don't know what the speed is, but I definitely know the strength is there.
Back to Herbig real quick to put a cap on the brouhaha talk. I thought he had the line of the day when he said, it happens. We wouldn't be family if we didn't fight.
Yeah. I mean, I equated this. I told you the first day getting back together of practice, it's like a family reunion. And usually by the 3rd or 4th day of family reunion, you are fighting.
Yeah.
You realize why we only
or
need to
third
see
or fourth hour, depending on the family.
Depending on the family and depending on how open the bar is. It's one of those things where you're going to get in a fight.
My family might be a little ahead of your curve on that.
Yeah. Listen, they pre-partied before the family reunion. They tailgate it, right? But I think that's what it is. It's you realize sometimes, hey, this is why we only meet together once a year because this happens. But family can fight all they want in the yard, but the second somebody from outside comes in and fights the family, you get the entire squad jumping on you like, I'm the only one allowed to hit my little brother, not you. type of deal.
That's the one thing I wish I would have asked Nick Herbig.
Yeah.
I forgot. I meant to, and I forgot. When something like that breaks out, do you immediately go find number 71?
Yeah.
Or do you just, it's like a hockey thing. Like the goalies get together and the defensemen.
Exactly.
The brawlers find the brawlers and the little.
Everybody has a section.
Yeah. and it's understood who fights who. You know what I mean? It's not.
It's like you see these pads on my legs. You can't take an open swing and start spinning with me.
Because those brothers have fought before.
Oh, absolutely, no question about it.
Maybe recently for all we know.
Listen, they play on opposite sides of the ball. I think that that's a reason for that. It's not like they're both like a guard and a tackle together. It's like no, he's an outside linebacker. You're a center/guard. Y'all definitely are at odds with each other more often than not.
We were talking about James Harrison a minute ago, and Herbig the younger, Nick Herbig, also talked about that. There was some video, social media and whatnot, shots of Harrison working with him. T.J. Watt said he was working with him.
Yeah.
They're trying to sponge off of him and glean any possible knowledge that they can get. Here it is. We had this on yesterday afternoon, I believe. But, what kind of advantage is this that a guy of James Harrison's accomplishments is willing to come out here and work with these guys and, pay it forward?
No, I think it's tremendous, and it's different from a lot of places. The access that the Steelers give legends and alumni it's welcomed. Mike Tomlin wants James Harrison out here.
He calls it an open door. That's like you show up, you go down on the field, you talk to whoever you want to talk to, you go where you want to go.
You can walk on the field at any moment. Yeah. Troy Polamalu was sitting in the end zone with Ike in a live drill. You want to bring those legends here, guys who have laid the foundation for what the current Steelers are, right? Guys who have put their hand in the pile and contributed mightily. You welcome that. You embrace that. Even Rashard Mendenhall the day before was down on the field talking with the running backs. Like, you want to glean from that. That guy's been in a Super Bowl. That guy has played a lot of snaps, has seen a lot of football. You want to take any little nugget you can take. And James Harrison teaching guys his patented rip move is one of those things that contributed to him being the Steelers' all-time sack leader, right? He created opportunities for himself to be better, but also made the team better in the process. So if you're T.J. Watt, you can't not accept that. And if you're Nick Herbig, you want it. And you saw him there working that drill. I hated that move because I remember that move. Yeah. My elbow remembers that move because there's a little trick on there that I think he showed, but we didn't catch it on camera.
Well, TJ said it's very hard to master, but James got a lot of sacks with it. Is it really that different?
It is. It is.
Without getting too inside baseball, can you sort of?
You have to have a certain strength, certain bicep strength.
Okay, here we get
to be able.
This is the gist of
to pull it. Yeah. And as you saw,
it's not the move; it's the mover.
Yeah, it's the mover. It's the hey, it's not the equipment; it's the personnel.
Yeah.
And so I could sit there. We could break down the play on how he does it, but if there's any
but is it that different?
It's a little. What you saw on screen is a variant of it, where if you can get the rip through the shoulder and grab the back of the hip, you can slingshot or catapult yourself around the guy and shorten that corner, which we saw in that drill, right? And anytime you get engagement and you can shorten the corner, it's a faster sling, and you gain momentum with it because the offensive lineman is trying to work against it to push you off of it, and the natural momentum slingshots the guy around you. So it's a very high success rate if you can pull it off.
Yeah, Nick Herbig, he should buy a lottery ticket. When he's in college, he's corresponding via social media with the NFL Defensive Player of the Year about how to do this and that. And now he gets out here as a second-year player, and he's getting tutorials from James Harrison.
Yeah, no, he has won the lottery. He is a lucky young man to have that much information available to him. Jason Gilden was also here earlier, who was the then sack leader when he played.
Yeah, he got a few.
Yeah, he got a few sacks. So you're getting all that wealth of knowledge. It's just like even when Minka goes and picks Troy Polamalu's brain, or Deshaun Elliott or DeMonte KZ, like having guys around that you can glean from and hopefully get some knowledge that you don't have to go experience yourself and is taught to you is always a bonus. And the Steelers, I feel like, are one of those organizations. They welcome it, they embrace it, and they want more of it.
And that, to me, Max, correct me if I'm wrong, that creates almost a collegial atmosphere and environment.
Yeah, no, it does.
It feels like Steelers U,
yeah, exactly. Or Steelers, Sigma Steelers. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like a frat house type of environment in a good way, where you have the alumni weekend and guys can go in the fraternity house and point out and tell you all the stories they had and secret places and all this kind of stuff. The same thing is there. You're giving the secrets of play out there on the field to guys, and our guys embrace having that extra time on the field after practice. That's why you saw guys like with the pads off, and a time to really slow things down and work on every little mechanical move to make them better. And guys will pull their own teammates out, to draw from that. Well, that's how Spencer Anderson, second-year guy, pulling from Larry Ogunjobi, who's got 10 years in the league. That's an invaluable resource that you have on your team, but then you add having a guy come out there and throw a little extra knowledge on it is really special.
Well, why do you think that perpetuates? I mean, Tomlin does have the open door, but is it as simple as when those guys were here, there was somebody from 15 years ago hanging around with them and interacting with them, and now they feel like, okay, this is what I do at this stage of my football life, even though I'm not playing anymore. It's time to come back and give a little back. I mean, I know you're here every day, but you're working.
Yeah, I'm working. So I don't actually get on the field because now practice is in the morning. I used to do that. My first couple of years, I was on the field. I was behind the offensive line. I talked to Dan Moore. I had those conversations with Broderick Jones and anybody else who wanted to talk.
This is while practice is going on.
Yeah, while practice is going on. After practice, when they're doing a little extra, we'll talk about footwork, stance, body lean, and body, where the weight distribution needs to be. We talk about all those type of things. But this year, obviously not because of the schedule, can't get down there except on the weekends. So, I mean, it's not as much fun. But, I mean, you feel that because I had Tunch Ilkin. I had Craig Wolfley around all the time in the same capacity that I'm in, and still have them around. And I could go talk to them. I remember getting Tunch's punches, right?
Yeah.
I remember getting that tape as a freshman in college.
Okay.
And then you see the man that you watched and tried to model your game after up here at practice every day. You can't help but glean from that. John Kolb being around here. Joe Green for so many years, right? He hung almost exclusively with the D-line.
And you knew who these guys were, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you're a little young for the 70s. But
I'm a little young for the 70s, but I was very steeped in Steelers lore very quickly once I got here. And so you see a Mean Joe Green walking around. You see a Mel Blount, walking around and talking to safeties, talking to Troy Polamalu and company. Rocky Blyer came around. Franco came around. So we were used to seeing veterans around. It's kind of just a natural process. If you had any years here, you had to go pay it forward to the next generation of guys because that's just what Steelers do. And that was kind of understood as a organizational philosophy that if you have the time, we want you here, we welcome you here, but also, give your knowledge. If you see something, say something, right? And that's what I think has been embraced, and you see that going on almost on a daily basis out here.
Yeah, and I think it almost feeds, the people – here on the Hill, they recognize these guys and they see them and they embrace them. It's Antonio Holmes last year.
Yeah.
It just sort of feeds the beast. I don't want to say it's unique to the Steelers, Max, but it's a little different than most of the NFL teams, would you say?
I would say very different. I mean, I get alumni communications because I played at a couple other places since, but the majority of my career was here.
See, I just remember you as a Steeler.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the most important thing for you to remember,
Yeah.
Prisuta. Don't remember the St. Louis Rams, Chargers, and the Cardinals, blah, blah, blah.
Actually, I remember the Cardinals. I did not remember the Rams and
the Rams.
Chargers.
I was there for 3 games with the Rams.
Wow.
The following season.
Ram tough.
Yeah. Right by the trash heap was where their facility was in Earth City, Missouri. If the wind wafted the wrong way, you got all of the landfill that was right up in your nostrils. You wanted to throw up every day you went to practice that the wind was blowing towards you. But no, I equate it to this, right? And I'm a whiskey bourbon guy, and sour mash is a type of style of whiskey where they take some of the mash bill from the previous distillation and they put it in the new batch to accelerate the process. That's essentially what you do here with the Steelers alumni, right? You bring the guys are allowed to come in, they can impart knowledge, so you hopefully accelerate the learning curve for those young guys.
Would that have the same effect, say, as if a guy such as myself wanted to have a glass of beer and drop a shot in it?
No, not the same thing. Not the same thing.
Okay.
Now you're just trying to get to the finish line quicker.
That's just theory.
Yeah.
No practical experience. Let's go back to Justin Fields for a minute because I think he had a part in what took place yesterday. I still think there's a little bit of they were just tired of watching him run around because he has been doing that a lot, and it kind of sparks the imagination how this might be applied to the Steelers' offense. But this extended run he's getting with the first team as they keep Russell Wilson on slow cook. Fields is not only getting to know his new offensive teammates, they're not only getting to know them, and the coaches are not only getting a feel for what Fields can do for the Steelers' offense, but that Justin Fields iron is sharpening the Steelers' defense. Here's Terrell Austin talking about that.
I think you see that out there. Like when he breaks the pocket, he is dangerous. And he can turn a bad play into a really good play really fast. So it's good for us because then that means we have to be really sharp on our rush lanes and how we're rushing the quarterback. It means we have to be really sharp if we're in our zones and we see him scramble in terms of coming out of coverage and corralling him. It does a lot, and it makes it's really good work for us because, we're going to run across quarterbacks like that. Obviously, we play Lamar twice. But we're going to run across quarterbacks like this, and this can only help us.
I've always more and more running quarterbacks are being sought. They're having an impact. They're affecting the way the game is played. And I've always thought as a pass rusher, that's got to be the toughest thing to wrap your head around because your whole instinct and all your training is crash in there and get there as fast as you possibly can. But this rush lane discipline thing, the guy can really make you pay if you don't adhere to it every time.
Yeah, it's an interesting philosophy, and you have to be on your P's and Q's because you have a Lamar Jackson in your division. You have a Deshaun Watson. You're going to see that's 4 games that you're going to see that style of quarterback within your own division, and then you go to the broader sense of it, and you look at other teams out there. You're going to see a Jalen Hurts, right? You see him at the end of the year. Patrick Mahomes, crafty with that. He's not necessarily a down-the-field runner, but he definitely runs lateral to create space,
and
create pocket, and extend plays. So
even on Baker Mayfield back in the day, he would get outside, and that's where he was more dangerous, I always thought, than when he was in the pocket. If you let him out in that reset, that's where you had a problem.
Yeah, you reset, and then now everything's off script based on what they've learned, and you don't really have a beat as a defensive back or as a defender. Now you have to clear the line of scrimmage and get to square so that you can put eyes and then make adjustment for a second path. You can't just take off straight on the edge and that's it. So now it's a new departure for that type of system. And especially when you think you said Baker Mayfield to Kyler Murray is another one that's in the same vein as that. So there's a lot more of these quarterbacks than there are not.
There's more coming.
Yeah, and there's more coming. Anthony Richardson, we still don't know what to think. We got Indianapolis on the schedule this year.
Yeah.
We don't know what he's going to bring. He's a very physical scat type of guy. So there's a lot of opportunities. He went to the University of Florida, one of the greatest institutions for higher education.
Yeah, I'll put it on a tee for you.
Yeah, you know what? And you knocked it out the park. I appreciate that. But I think that's what you have to mentally prepare yourself for. So you get an up-close personal early in a training camp process, and as TA, as a defensive coordinator, I now get to see who knows how to pursue the mobile quarterback, and that might influence my decision when it comes to cut down on 53, how you respond to a guy like this. And because he's getting the first team reps and because he's getting the lion's share of those until Russell comes back, you're getting almost exclusive access. It's like getting the pre-concert type of ticket to see how these guys deal with mobile quarterbacks.
I got 2 responses to what I've seen so far regarding that. One, Justin Fields is very good.
Yes.
Very combustible, very explosive. But 2, I don't think the defense has been appreciating that maybe the way they do when they get ready to play Lamar Jackson because historically the Steelers have a good record against Lamar. They have a winning record against Lamar. I think they've been rushing a little too aggressively and kind of opening the door for Fields. I think they got to tighten up the approach a little bit.
Yeah, I think they're still getting to know him, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's happening all the time.
Yeah.
Especially on the read option. What was the one played out at the goal line?
The goal line,
6 guys tackled Jalen Warren when he didn't have the ball.
Yeah, and he just coasted out the back door, and Joey Porter Jr. was left on the island and had to make a business decision. I think that, and you also get it at different groups in. He hasn't done it as much with the starters in, but definitely when the second unit comes in, you see it as a viable option. And it's one of those things where as a young guy trying to make the team on that second and third unit, you've got to make a decision, and you're selling out. And it's like, no. There's a controlled process to this. Make sure you get used to it.
We're not coaches. We don't make the calls.
No, we don't.
That's up to Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator, and Mike Tomlin, the head coach. But I don't know. Me sitting here at this desk, Max, talking to Steeler Nation every day as I do on Training Camp Live with you.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this guy's got to get in the game occasionally. There's got to be some package. I don't know if it's goal line plays, third and short plays, wherever you are on the field. I don't know if it's, hey, the game's not quite going the way we want it. Let's change the tempo a little bit. I think he's got to see some offensive snaps.
No, I think he's earning that reputation and earning that opportunity. Obviously, it's still slighted because you don't have Russell Wilson out there and seeing what Russ can do. So you can't really get a true apples-to-apples comparison. But what we're seeing right now with the extended duty with the ones.
But, I mean, Russell's not going to run like this guy. He's going to escape the pocket to extend.
Yeah, he's going to extend, and he'll take off every once in a while.
Yeah, but he's not going to go 60 yards down the field like this guy.
No. He's not going to pull off adjusted fields. But
which is why I'm kind of really starting to generate a lot of personal enthusiasm for this, because on 3rd and 2, it wouldn't maybe just be about moving the sticks. He might turn 3rd and 2 into call the extra point team.
Yeah, no, he has that capability. I think but he also has to establish himself as a viable passing threat, because that's where you get that opportunity, because they don't know to play up or play off because he's a mobile quarterback.
They're establishing something down there with the boxing glove on a stick.
Yeah. This is that ball security drill.
Yeah.
And
is that Ryan Shazier?
Yeah, I think is that Ryan? Yeah, that's Ryan. That's Ryan. Look at that. Come on, get him. Throw some tennis balls at him. Come on. Yeah.
I would hate this if I was a running. I mean, this would absolutely infuriate me.
Well, and these are it's mixed in DBs and running backs. Yeah. So this is, I don't want that.
The tennis balls is just that's just
bro, and you got to catch the tennis ball while holding onto the grip. A lot of different forces coming at you, a lot of different things. Yeah, dude, that is annoying. God, no, I don't want that. Why are we doing that?
Yeah, as Mike Tomlin likes to say, today's good day to work on ball security.
Yes, it is. You got a little bit slower tempo. You don't have the pads on fully. It's thud football. So, you want to make sure, because guys, when they're in shells, they're more likely, because you can't tackle a guy to the ground, more likely to rip the ball out. I saw them do it a couple of times in practice yesterday, so I imagine this is a point of emphasis in practice, something that was talked about last night.
Mike Tomlin not happy with the ball security.
Yeah.
And I assume that includes the after the whistle stuff. If it comes out, it comes out, right?
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, whistle's not dead till you get back in the huddle. So, you have to take it accordingly. And I think for those guys, this is very imperative. So you bring in a Ryan Shazier, a guy known for stripping the football when he was a player, and you say, hey, you're on the boxing glove.
One of the guys who did a nice job of giving the offense problems with ball security yesterday was Graylin Arnold. We talked a little bit about him yesterday, but he has had interceptions here on consecutive days. Now, he's currently running second team behind Beanie Bishop at slot corner when they use the 3 cornerbacks in the regular nickel. Deshaun Elliott seems to be getting a pretty good grasp on slot position in the big nickel when they use 3 safeties. Let's give a listen to what Terrell Austin had to say yesterday about those 2 guys and those 2 spots.
We're still working through this, but those guys, they got some good work in the spring, and now we're going to see how it fleshes out here in camp with pads on, and really a little bit more competitive. You can actually make a little bit more informed decision that way. So right now, that's how we're working. I'm not going to sit here and say that's how it's going to be. It could change based on performance, based on some different things we see from some other guys.
What do you like about those 2 and what they can provide there?
I think. They're both, and I'll talk about Deshaun first. In terms of a bigger package, he likes to be down in the box. He's a tough physical guy. He's a good pro, so I like the fact the biggest thing I like is he's a contact player. With Beanie, he gives you a little bit because he gives you some speed, he gives you some ability to cover, and he is from what we saw on college tape and different things that we're starting to see now is he's a pretty tough guy and he's a pretty competitive guy. So that gives him the baseline that you need to play in there.
Yeah, nothing in stone yet, Max, but Elliott clearly is going to play a prominent role at safety. I don't think there's going to be a lot of snaps where he's not on the field. And Beanie Bishop, I've seen nothing that would lead me to believe he's not going to hold up. Now, maybe he'll fall apart when they play the first preseason game, but I tend to doubt it.
No, I think what you're seeing now, guys are starting to feel comfortable and settle down in their roles. And, of course, you see Beanie Bishop there right now, number 30. Graylin Arnold is 35 on the defense. So you're seeing a lot of guys get some good work. And, of course, Deshaun Elliott, like you said, starting safety role, but a guy that can slide down into that nickel position. You want to make sure that you're doing everything possible to give those guys an opportunity to really compete and see what they're made of. And we'll know a lot once we get to that first preseason game and how that shakes out between preseason game 1 and 2, because they're going to get a lot of reps. Starters aren't going to get a lot of reps, but those guys are going to get a lot of reps to really see who can nail down that job and win that job come start of the season.
You see Elliott, he looks the part. He's got experience. He's played with Baltimore, Miami, and Detroit.
Yeah, he's been around a couple of places.
He seems like a fit in the room. I mean, early impressions here. I don't want to draw too many definitive conclusions, but just talking to him since he's gotten here, he seems, he wants to play the media game. He wants to play the football game. He wants to play the teammate game. Why is a guy like that available? Isn't that what you're looking for?
You're looking for that, but sometimes, with a team, I mean, how you're that salary cap, right? That comes down to it. A guy versus what he's worth versus what you're willing to pay, creates that, because, teams have their favorites, and a lot of the lion's share, especially defensively, goes to your pass rushers. And now you're starting to see more and more middle backers are starting to get the money. So then when you get to a safety, that safety market is not as highly defined of a ceiling. And teams feel like they can lose their safeties, but they can't lose middle backers and defensive linemen. So you see a lot more safeties on the market. Think about Jordan Poyer, right? He was a guy that was on the market for a minute, before he settled down with Atlanta.
Longer than most people probably thought.
Yeah, as a guy who is a key contributor. He might not be all pro, but he's right up there in the conversation. So safety is one where you can find more value and find guys, the later you get into the process, a better value for your team.
Yeah, and Beanie, who's in Beanie Bishop in the back there, number 30, he's not big, but he's not small. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He doesn't play small.
No, he's a guy. He loves to put his face in the fan. He loves to have contact. Like I said, 50 tackles a year ago at West Virginia, and he's a guy that has a lot of passes defense. So guys look at him, like you said, they look at him as he's small, but then when they throw to him, they realize he's not, because he also led the country in passes defensed. So he's a guy that will draw the attention, but also stand up to the task.
Any history here of the Steelers trusting slot corner to a guy who wasn't drafted and maybe didn't have the ideal size, height, weight, and speed, and it worked out anyway?
Yeah, you think of, there's a couple of guys that come to mind, and that position, you want the odd shaped toys, right?
I'm thinking of one in particular. Was it Ramada, Holiday Inn, Hilton? Mike Hilton.
You throw the hotel brands. Mike Hilton being a very known suspect. They've been trying to find that replacement since he's been here. Yeah. I think of even like a Will Gay, right? A guy you didn't think was going to play that. He was competing for a quarter job and then found his way into the slot corner position and excelled for many years. Had a lot of touchdowns off of interceptions in his time here as a Steeler, but a guy that you didn't traditionally draft to be that type of player that fit into a role. And the same thing, you hope in the same vein you find something like that with a Beanie Bishop.
Of course,
Marcus Golden going through the paces. Look at that. From the dorm room to the field already. Now, he doesn't have the little shells on, it doesn't look like. He just has his jersey on. So going through some individual and everything, I don't think you insert him into the lineup just yet. You give him a day to really get a feel for everything. And also, test the endurance, right? I mean, he went through a workout before he got here, but a workout and practice are two very different things.
I would imagine, but good to see him down there. And again, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but it bears repeating, particularly when you're looking for a guy at this time of the year.
Yeah.
Nice to get a known commodity, or at least a guy that you're pretty sure you're aware of what you're getting.
You've got tape on him, you've got a resume on him, and you've had him in the building. So he's a known suspect. So he comes in the lineup every time. You have to have a person of interest. Like, he's a guy that you're looking at and you're saying, okay, what's Marcus doing? And wearing 91. His number last year was 44. In case people are trying to figure out where was this guy? I didn't see a 91 on there. He's 91 right now because Tyler Medikevich has the 44 at the middle backer. Can't have two on the same side of the ball. So that's why Marcus Golden is donning the 91 right now.
Getting a good look at number 27 right there. That would be cornerback Corey Trice Jr. Of course, he was flashing in the spring and for a brief minute out here last year, and then fate intervened and suffered a knee injury that cost him his season, but he's been working his way back ever since. Terrell Austin talked a little bit about Trice yesterday as well.
Well, I think he's in the right spot. He's, taking reps. in terms of getting himself back, getting him back in football shape, and all those things. Corey's he's a great young man, sharp, really sharp football player, and he's done some good things. He just hasn't had a ton of reps right now, and I think as the camp goes on, you'll see his reps ramp up a little bit more, give him an opportunity to compete and get back in the mix for some play time.
Now, Max, he is a tall, pretty corner.
Yeah. 6'3".
Mike Tomlin has referenced him as an avatar corner.
Yes. That would be a very good comp, so to speak. Yeah, he looks like an avatar.
I was intrigued by him last year. How much of a setback did he sustain, and how has that impacted his ability to maybe get back to where he was and then some?
Well, I think, anytime you don't have any experience, it's like Calvin Austin. Remember when he came off of his injury his rookie year? He had to get his way back into the lineup and, of course, made some key contributions last season, when he was in that lineup. So I think the same thing can be said of Corey Trice. As long as he stays healthy, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when he gets into the lineup, because you will go through a rash, and we went through it, last year and the year before, where you'll have a string of injuries at a position group, and you'll need guys to come and fill in. So for Corey Trice, it's a matter of when he gets in, and it's important just stacking good days for him, because he's a guy who can be a difference maker. When you put a guy like him that's 6'3" in that position, that presents a lot of problems for a lot of guys, when you're thinking about how they're going to do. And then, of course, you see Lil Peasy. He's not too short either. He's 6'2" and almost 6'2.5". So you have two very tall receivers. You think of Cincinnati comes to mind immediately, right? When you got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, who are also very tall receivers. When you compare that up with very tall corners, that 50-50 ball isn't so 50-50. And they can go and contest. So getting Corey Trice up to speed, making sure he's getting good reps here in practice, and he continues to stack. And once again, health is the key. If he can stay healthy, he can be a contributor for this team.
Let's stick with Porter since we have him on screen now. What kind of jump are we going to see here? Did he already make his rookie to second-year jump last year when he started getting a lot of serious playing time, or is he just scratching the surface?
I think he's just scratching the surface. I mean, you want to clean up like some of the penalty things that he had in the past. And that's to be expected, right? When you have a
couple
rookie
flags out here, by the way.
Yeah, a couple flags out here. So you're still working off the rust. But I expect a nice jump in his play. I think eliminating some of the penalties, some of the touch things. He's now gotten a feel for that. He's put it on film. He can watch it and kind of digest it. But I think he's good. He's be one of the guys I can't wait to see what that year 1 to year 2 jump is, because he's got something special there. He knows how to play. He knows how to compete. He can mix it up with anybody, especially at the wide receiver position, and he's not afraid of collisions. He's not afraid of contact, and that's something that you have to say, if you're going to wear the 2-4 like Ike Taylor did, you got to bring something with it.
Yeah, I thought he really worked on that last year. The penalties thing coming out of Penn State, he had that on his resume that he was a guy who took full advantage of the difference between college rules and NFL rules in terms of what they let you get away with. That was something he was working on. But I thought early on his tackling was not up to
snuff,
to the line, and I thought it gradually he certainly got more interested in trying to be better at it as the season went on. And, he started getting there.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a process, right? Especially if you come from college where you can just knock a guy down by pushing him. Now, it's different in the league. You got to tackle that dude, because that dude will spin out of it. That guy will get almost to an inch of his knee getting to the ground and all of a sudden pop right back up. Think Tyreek Hill, right? You're going to see those type of guys throughout the season. So now the intent has to be that much higher. The follow-through has to be that much higher. And you can't assume a guy goes down just because you gave him a little shoulder to the ground. It's not always that easy, because guys can put that hand on the ground, brace that weight, and get back up and go. So he had to learn in the fire. But, like you said, not a guy that's willing to go do it, and that's all you want. You want willingness at the corner position.
Last thing from TA, since he spoke yesterday, and again, we're scheduled, it's my understanding, offensive coordinator Arthur Smith is going to speak today, so we'll probably have a lot to talk about tomorrow.
How'd you pull that one off?
Nothing to do with me. I just, they announce who's talking, and I go listen.
Okay, there it is. Okay, I know if you said, hey, Bert, throw a little extra in there. Hey, I need to talk to the OC. We've talked to everybody else.
But Terrell Austin talked about the defensive line and his interpretation of what kind of depth the Steelers are going to have up front.
Right now we got a chance to see it because we had a couple guys resting today, and so we like the young guys. We got to develop the young guys, and so I think right now I'm not really concerned about it. I think we're in a good position. I think we have Mon, we have Milk, who have proven good backups. I think Marv is coming along, starting to play a little bit better. We know he's had a little ups and downs since he's been here, but he's a good guy, and he's worked his tail off this offseason. So I like where we are right now.
What have you wanted to see from DeMarvin, and what has he given you, and what did you want to see?
Well, I just want to see more consistency. I think really what happens when you start guys that have talent and when they start playing and all of a sudden it kind of goes up and down for them, you just want to see more consistency. And I think if you see more consistency, his talent will show.
Max, DeMarvin Leal was a fascinating guy coming to this team last year. His Texas A&M tape was, I think, more splashy than consistent, and it didn't really scream that he had a specific position in the NFL. And his rookie year with the Steelers, he played a number of positions, 3 or 4 of them, and I thought he played really well. Really gave him a boost, particularly when injuries began to mount. They'd lost T.J. Watt for a lot of that season. Last year, by the end of the year, he was a healthy scratch, to use another hockey term.
Yeah.
What happened, and where's he headed?
I think, for any young guy, like, you see success early and quickly, and you like, man, I'm an indispensable part of this unit. They need me everywhere. You can get a little lax. You can start to, smell your own roses, so to speak. And I think for him, he definitely did not take full advantage last year. He didn't come in with that worker's mindset like, it's a new year. TJ's healthy. I'm not getting, as many reps. Keanu Benton's coming on really strong. And, Larry Ogunjobi's healthy all last season, because Larry Ogunjobi was another reason why he got more reps, was because Larry Ogunjobi was dealing with that foot, and it led into the beginning of camp. So I think he kind of got lulled into a sense of complacency. And now, he came in great shape here. He's really tuned in and locked in. I think he now sees, no, I got to work for everything I get, and I have to make those opportunities present, and I have to show up on film. And I think we've been seeing more consistency from him at this point in camp than we did a previous year.
He also talked about run stuffing, and he told him that they told him, the coaches, why they weren't playing him last year. He wasn't stopping the run consistently enough. And I asked him his response to that, and he said, I went to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's that simple sometimes. You think about it, it's like, what do I have to do? Oh, I need to go actually get better every weekend. So, to see that intent, like you said, he's had some great plays in team run down there where he has literally caused havoc in the backfield and stopped the play before it started. And you can see the pass rush, because he was really focused on pass rush a year ago, and the sacks, the TFLs, like he was trying to make those splashy plays like you talked about from Texas A&M and trying to make those his resume versus every down and distance being a guy you can count on. TA talked about it, rush lane discipline. Don't jump outside of a lane just because you whipped the block on initial. Don't start getting out to the C and the D gap. Stay in the B gap if that's your gap. Don't try and move. And that B gap is between the guard and the tackle. If I'm rushing in that lane, stay in that lane, because you constrict it for either the running back or the quarterback, whoever's back there in the backfield trying to make a decision. You're making that decision for them. Don't try and freestyle, so to speak, or go off the reservation.
He showed up a couple times yesterday, Max, on the practice field. I thought the defensive line in general, the defensive front, very good pressure in the team segments.
Yes.
A lot of flushing of quarterbacks, a lot of batting down of passes, and a lot of general disruption.
Well, and think about it. I mean, DeMarvin Leal's not a short dude. Keanu Benton's not a short dude. And both of those guys have flashed together when they've been in the same unit time, and they're getting their hands up, affecting the quarterback's throwing lane. That's something that if you stay in your rush lane, good things will happen. But if you rush and you try and go outside, the quarterback gets the middle of the field as vision, that doesn't affect him as much. And so learning that, you're seeing it pay off. And then, of course, at the line of scrimmage, the physicality. We know when Cam and Larry Ogunjobi and Keanu Benton are in there. But what's happening when you see a Braden Fehoko, when you see a DeMarvin Leal, when you see other guys inserted into this, Logan Lee, a rookie that's down there, how do they affect the game for the Kyle Allens and the John Rice Plumlees? How are you affecting them in their pass game? They're watching all that film.
How is Logan Lee affecting the game?
I mean, he's physical at the point of the run game. He hasn't really established himself in the pass game yet. I haven't seen him really whip too many blocks. But in the run game, very stout at staying at the point and taking on 2 double teams.
So you look at that defensive front, and I'm going to put Benton as the starter.
I think that would be a wise choice.
Benton surrounded by Ogunjobi and Cam Hayward, and, I'll take Cam at his word that he's back to being Cam Hayward after an injury affected last year. I mean, that's a hell of a front, isn't it?
Well, and the second string is just as effective when you think of having those guys, but the second wave, Carl Dunbar loves rolling guys in. So now insert DeMarvin Leal. Isaiah Loudermilk has been doing a good job in camp. He's another guy that's been batting down passes. He's 6'7". You can't help but by accident. Heck, his elbow could knock down passes. He's that tall. And then also Montravius Adams. Mon Adams has done a really good job. We hadn't really talked about him because he was a guy that came in service. We brought him off a practice squad.
Another guy who yesterday he kept flashing, with the disruptive stuff.
Yeah, and at the nose position, Mon is very quick. I think he might have the second fastest 10-yard split of every D lineman down there. I want to say he was right below 1.17 in his split. So 1.64 to 1.68. That's a very fast split when you're talking about a 40 and get off an explosiveness. So he's a guy that shows, but I think we kind of gotten used to him because he's been here now 4 years and was a practice squad. We picked him up with Stephon Tuitt suddenly retired, and we were looking for somebody, right, to come in and play. Isaiah Buggs wasn't quite filling the mold, so you brought in Mon Adams, and Mon's done the job and been phenomenal, and he does it low-key. He's not a very braggadocious guy. He's not a very out-there guy, but like you said, he flashes on film. His boastfulness is in his play.
I was going to say, he's one of those guys that's easy to overlook until he's not there for some reason. Then it's like, oh, where'd he go? Wish they had.
Wait a second. Yeah. Where's 5'7"? I need a 5'7", and he's been there. He's been doing the job. So that's another guy I want to highlight. Him, Leal, and Loudermilk have been the twos for most part, and they've been doing a good job because those are guys you want rotation. And Carl Dunbar loves rotation to give his guys a break, but he has to trust you. And I think DeMarvin Leal is going a long way to add that trust. Mon has that trust, and Isaiah Loudermilk's building that trust as well.
Last thing I got for you today, I wanted to ask you about another comment from T.J. Watt yesterday. 7 shots, the offense won 4-3.
Yeah.
Najee Harris has had 3 rushing touchdowns in 2 days. Had another one called back because of a holding penalty. The offense has won 2 days in a row. They're running the ball into the end zone. TJ asked about that. It was a serious question, and he gave a serious answer. He said, we got to do a better job stuffing the run, got to play better in 7 shots. Hopefully we'll do that today. And it occurred to me as this process was going on, because I was involved in it, that I was standing on a practice field in July asking a guy who's on his way to the Hall of Fame about a drill nobody's going to remember in September, and he provided a serious, insightful answer. Welcome back, Steeler Nation. I mean,
yeah, exactly. You wonder if T.J. Watt is dialed in. Ask no further. He's dialed in, and he takes pride in the little things, like you said. This drill isn't going to matter. You're not going to go in December and say, hey, TJ, you remember that day that you guys were on a two-day losing streak on 7 shots? No, you're not going to ask that question. But guess what? He'd probably give you an answer. He'd probably give you an answer like, hey, that motivated us to do what we did and hopefully be a top 5 defense.
Well, I just appreciate what it implies and what it means. I appreciate we're sitting here doing this. I appreciate people are watching it. I appreciate the crowds out here.
Yeah.
This is it doesn't count, but it counts. It matters.
It does. It does. Any opportunity you get a chance to go and perform and be out in this environment, and like you said, the crowd noise, the cheers, the boos, the ahs, all of that matters for getting this unit of individuals to becoming Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hey, don't forget, Yin's Chat Challenges are back. This week is Training Camp History Challenge featuring a football autographed by T.J. Watt. Answer trivia this week to compete against Steelers United Nation for a chance at that autographed T.J. Watt football. That is going to do it for us here on Training Camp Live. I want to remind everybody that I'll be sitting in this chair at 3 o'clock this afternoon for Training Camp wrap-up. Max will be replaced by Craig Wolfley. It's kind of like the Jerome Bettis, Deuce Staley thing. Deuce drives the ball down the field, and then Jerome comes in and scores the touchdowns.
Exactly.
You do the heavy lifting here, and then Wolf gets to wrap it all up and get the glory.
Listen, he's earned it. Service well done. My compadre up in the booth. I'm fine with sitting out in the elements because he did it for 20-plus years. I don't mind being the guy with the eyes and the ears on the ground.
That's going to do it for us. Until then, thanks for finding us. You have been watching Training Camp Live, presented by FedEx.